Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarre YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1976's Emmanuelle in America. This was put out by Blue Underground DVD. This is the back of the DVD, and this stars the infamous Laura Gemser. There she is right there. And there is a quote on the front of this DVD that says right here, one of the most notorious exploitation films ever made, and that is from Bizarre Magazine. I believe the now gone Bizarre Magazine. This is Emmanuelle in America, 1976, and Laura Gemser, who I believe has a place in the Black Emmanuelle series. Let's get into this film right here, 1976, Emmanuelle in America. This film has quite the reputation for those that know it. They know, for those that know of it, they know that it is quite a wildly explicit, graphically sexual, graphically, harrowingly violent, and luscious environments and comedy and adventure and mystery and crime and all of the above in this film. This is an experience unlike most experiences in exploitation film, and predominantly in sexploitation film, I would say. This was directed also by the infamous Joe D'Amato, and I have not seen anything quite like this before. I have to be honest with you. And if you want to embark on an adventure of graphic proportions in a wild, new, uncharted territorial world, Emmanuelle in America is your ticket. What we have here is we have a woman of freedom, and a 70s woman of freedom. And Laura Gemser is very exotic looking at first glance. You might think she's black, but she's a very exotic ethnic background that is a mix of ethnicities. And she is a reporter of sorts. She experiences a variety of worlds and adventures, and has a home base, I believe, in New York, and in America, and has a lover there as well, in freedom, of course, free love. But the two of them share that love for each other, and she embarks on reporting in her own unique way and going into illegal worlds of sex and violence, and is able to report back and to try to expose and to try to get justice through articles. This is a piece of this, and also as she experiences her own philosophy. So let's get into Emmanuelle in America. This is a wild, wild, wild movie. First and foremost, the music. The music is done by the unbelievable Nico Fidenko, I believe. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Nico Fidenko, and I believe he did the scores for many of the Black Emmanuelle films. The score in this one is exotic, groovy, funky. There are exotic flutes and rhythms. There are mysterious sound cues as well. We have areas of jazz. We have areas of we have a couple songs that are that have lyrics and that are sung in a kind of a 70s, oh gosh, 70s classic rock disco type of way. And if you know Nico Fidenko's music, you know that there is this solid, almost disco funk groove bass line to his music, but it's done with so many instruments and sonic textures, exotic, wild, freeform, mysterious, intriguing, sexy, surreal, many different layers. And that groove and that funk is almost the heartbeat of Nico's music in this film. And it is really fantastic. There are even the human voice is also used as an instrument in some of the music, and it fills this film. Wall to wall in this film is Nico's music, and it is just, it's unbelievable. And the soundtracks are out there, so you can definitely get them on Beat Records, on CD, I believe. So just unbelievable music in this film, wall to wall. This is a film that will really challenge the boundaries of a sexploitation film. We have themes of obviously free love and freedom, the implications of marriage, the institution of marriage. We also have justice, exploitation as a theme, predominantly the exploitation of women as a theme. Also, gender issues within the workplace. We have a very interesting theme in this film that I know I mentioned at the beginning of this video so far, of experience. Experiencing life. Experiencing for the sake of experiencing. And that is something that is very interesting. Sexually experiencing in freedom, but experiencing in general in freedom for the sake of experiencing, even if the thing you are experiencing kind of ends abruptly, ends in a bad way, ends in a way that you weren't expecting, and then you just kind of pack your bags and move on and count that as an experience. And that definitely seems to be a theme in Emmanuelle in America. We have Emmanuelle. There's a bit of mystery as the film begins, as you don't exactly know what is going on. Is this going to be a typical sexploitation film where we have a woman who's experiencing sex and life and love in America with a variety of sexual situations, so on and so forth? But what you don't realize is that the film comes out of America. You do go to some foreign territories, foreign countries in this film. And so the home base seems to be America, but we are going to do a bit of traveling in this film, and we are going to go to a prostitution ring of women and a one male master. We are also going to go into a male prostitution arena. And we're also going to go into some of the most harrowing, disturbing, realistically violent sequences I've ever seen, almost looking like a snuff footage in this film. We have unbelievable underwater footage in this movie. This movie has tons of sexual situations, and some of them are real. Blowjobs, oral sex, masturbation, ejaculation, real intercourse, and that comes out of freaking nowhere, because the majority of the film is simulated sexual situations, with Laura Gemser, and tons of them. And they're erotic, but they're not long-winded, and they're well done, especially this one dealing with classical music. That's all I'm going to say. But all of a sudden, this graphic, X-rated sexuality happens in this film, and also this graphic violence happens in this film as well. There are a couple sucker punches in this movie as well, with a weird relationship with this model and a boyfriend and his virginity, and that involves a bit of a gun violence. Laura Gemser's character uses her body as um, as something monetary, as 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 commerce, and she seems to have a variety um, of occupations, from photography to reporting to a paper, and she was really ahead of her time with her camera. Let me tell you that right off the bat. She has a camera that, the smallest camera definitely from 1976. I got to tell you that right off the bat. Today, that would be commonplace, but not back then. So many a wild orgy sequence, this very interesting married couple and what they say versus what they do, but kind of representing marriage in a very unique way, in the way that they use Emmanuelle as well. Her carefree way of moving from world to world to world, and from situation to situation. There is a bit of LSD in this film as well, done in a very expert way of mind control and writing things off. There are very wild characters in this film, and I got to tell you, there's unbelievable art in this film on the walls, architecture, furniture, very, very sexual, artistic artwork everywhere. Reminds me of George's room a bit in the 1972 Paul Bartel film Private Parts, which I've reviewed on this YouTube page. But even more colorful and more abundant and wild. There's even a cigarette. There's a cigarette table made out of a cigarette box in this film, if you can even believe that. Joe D'Amato films very smoothly, very elegantly in this film, and the camera kind of caresses the scenes, and he does a lot of shooting from the ground up. He does a lot of that, and it'll go from the ground up, and then it'll kind of circle and move. Very, very interesting shooting in this film, and lots of coverage and lots of different angles. Lots of it. And I have to say, too, there is a very, very controversial bestiality sequence in this film that looks to be real. I mean, it's not full blown, but whoa. This film will shock you at every angle. And of course, there's lesbianism, there's group sex, there's heterosexual sex, there's masturbation, but there's even phone sex in this film. Yes, there's phone sex before the 1-900 numbers. But most of it is simulated, and then all of a sudden, graphic things start to erupt, and these are not insert shots. This is, really part of the film. So this is quite a wild, exotic, interesting journey that is X-rated, but not, if that even makes sense. An X-rated journey that is also not. So how would you market this, and how would you rate this? How would you rate this, MPAA? Well, they didn't, I don't think. This is Emmanuelle in America, 1976, Joe D'Amato, starring Laura Gemser, and I believe there's somebody in here from Satan's Baby Doll as well. I believe so. I could be wrong on that. Thank you so much for watching this 10 Room Bizarro YouTube video, Emmanuelle in America, 1976. Good night.